Knock knock from that hot spot. I don't know why I'm rhyming. I'm in all black. When the lights out, you can still see that I'm shining. I can't believe y'all made me come here. Since I'm here, listen clear. Just more smoke to the open air. Prepare the fire, it's so clear. Pay homage. I said pay homage. This is ruthless, like a family of five and they ruthless. I'm on my mind, I flew the coop quick like a G5 with no stewardess. Forgive me, God, but this music makes me feel like a god. That's the truth. I just laughed at the fact that's stupid, like being cross-eyed and toothless. Better dot your eyes and cross your T's if you talk to me. But I don't talk that much, so just step aside. The rap game been bugged, I'm pesticide. You better use this. If you catch a high, you misused it. I'm not new to this, but it's my time. New rules, new rules. Been on my grind, take care of mine, new cool. What you know about me? I'm the next best thing, brain food. And if you ever around me, I don't sugarcoat nothing I do. Pay homage.
What's up? What's good? Peace, peace, peace. Guess what? Welcome home. The new YouTube channel, Team Osiris, Black Flag Movement. Team Osiris is in the building. Our solution is revealed in science, man. Your one and only Kansu Sheshimo Moon. Man, much honor, much respect. Those of you who have partaken in being a part of something special, man. Being a part of something that we call Team Osiris. Something that we developed over the years. Man, it's been just an amazing thing, man. It's something that we are very proud of. And we're very grateful that we've been able to do this for as long as we have. We're going on 10 plus years. Bringing, cutting edge information. And this wouldn't have been made possible. And before I introduce this brother, I actually judge Solar Vision Debate League. I've been on a lot of platforms. Sonetta, Wesley Muhammad. I've been on a lot of, obtuse platforms. And it's really because of Gay Ngozi. If it wasn't for Gay Ngozi, he called me on a whim. I heard him on the Blog Talk Show, and I said, man, I've been trying to catch up for Ngozi for the longest. We've known each other 20 years. It's crazy. This brother was 17 years old when we met, man. I appreciate this brother. Great guy, man. Consistently solid guy. And we've grown to have a great relationship and admire this brother to a very great deal. And he brought me into this and he said, Consul, man, I know you can do this. And I said, okay. And really has been enlightening and opened up a lot of doors. And it's because of him. So much respect, honor to him. He's a leader. A lot of people get it construed. Ngozi put this together, man. And Ngozi is a talent. And Ngozi doesn't know, but I've been saying, Ngozi is like Jordan in this game. And he's very humble. He won't accept it. But that's what he is. And he's really not looking for accolades and all this show out shit. He does this when he feels like it, and he does it because he likes to. So you're not going to always see Ngozi coming up every week. It just ain't going to happen. But the brand is already 10 years strong, so we mean business, and it ain't going nowhere. So with that being said, man, what's up, brother Ngozi, man? What's good with you?
Man, peace, power, and love. One soul, brother, one soul, beloved. Man, peace, power to you, man. I'm glad to hear from you, man. We going to get it rocking. Team Osiris is here on the horizon, man. My big brother Kansu, man, I'm liking what you're doing. I'm loving your work. You putting it down. You're helping a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Just not that. You're freeing the minds and liberating a lot of the people out here within this city, and I can't do nothing but honor that. You know what I'm saying? You're a real stand-up guy, real elder, you know what I'm saying? We go back a time, a good time, from all angles, dealing with the streets, all the way to following our proper method, which builds us as man. You know what I'm saying? So I really do appreciate you, man, and appreciate your works and what you got going, and also with being a great elder to Team Osiris and an overseer. You know what I'm saying? When things, when people need to communicate with you, you're there. Always there to aid and keep things up. keep the machine going. You know what I'm saying? So that's nothing but power and love, man. And I appreciate that. Team Osiris on the horizon.
Oh man, all day, man. It's crazy. It's crazy and goes these 10+ years, man.
Oh yeah,
It's
oh
crazy.
yeah, and we gonna keep it going. I mean, we don't believe. I mean, we know aging is a natural process, but we are tuned with the self, and the self ain't what you see. The self is the essence that pump it. So with us being in tune with that, this is a forever lasting process. Team Osiris is gonna be a name to remember, even after these bodies is gone. So it's only one mission, one soul, one message, and that's what we pumping. You know what I'm saying? Collectively.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we got a lot of things in the works, guys. We got some nice surprises, some things that's going to be enlightening. And we had to, start anew. We're also in the progress of migrating some classic videos. We're going to have another YouTube channel, Team Osiris Classics. So we're going to have a lot of classic stuff that established this brand. Particularly from Gacy and Gozy. It's one conversation that I thought was one of the most profound. It's a lot of them, but he was talking to I think it was Seti and Young Pharaoh and a couple other cats. That was prolific. I think that really summed up a lot of things with Brother Ngozi. So and some of the members that are part of the Team Osiris that are watching, I see you in the chat. I just put the Zoom link inside our chat, Team Osiris chat. So make sure that you join in, man, and join into the celebration, because I wanted to ask Ngozi something that is critical in understanding how we assimilate ourselves as African Americans. And the question is, Ngozi, why are we Sudanese Creole, man? And maybe I'm not saying it right, but why are we Sudanese Creole, man? Let's get to it.
I mean, it's very important, man, because we understand what we are as Americans. If it wasn't for the Africans back, America wouldn't be established. We understand that what formed New World America, not Old World America, but what New World America were Europeans, primarily. I'm talking about for the northern parts, not Latin America and not other parts, but this part of America. It was Europeans of British descent, Irish descent, Germanic descent, and sub-Saharan Africans that they used to form their blueprint off your back. And those sub-Saharan Africans were people from south of the Sahara or under the Sahara, which came from those tropical Greenland and rainforests, came from Western Sudanic countries. And those Western Sudanic countries was Mali, and Mali don't stretch from just only Mali that you see today. Mali goes from the Mali that you see today all the way to Liberia, Sierra Leone, all the way through Gambia and the western part of Senegal. You know what I'm saying? That's Mali. And a lot of us descent, Mali means hippopotamus, and Mali is actually a Fula word to describe the Mindi, because it was actually the Mindi Empire, which starts with Santiata Kieta, or Kanate, which is the actual name. But the heir to the throne is Kieta, which formed the Kieta dynasty that we always talk about, right? But what I'm saying is that our Mandinka ancestors, coming from Sierra Leone, Gambia, and Mendi is just in the Mandinka. Mandinka comes in Malinke, Bambara, Timne, Sanuke, all those are Mendi people. And also we include our Congo, because you have to understand we come from the largest cluster of a language family within the West African population that we descend from, Niger-Congo. That Niger-Congo language family gave rise to the Mendi, which is close to the Proto-Mendi that's developed 10,000 years ago, all the way through that's all Alactic Congo, Wolof Alactic Congo, Mendi Alactic Congo, Fulani Alactic Congo, and then Abinu Congos that comes from the so-called Bantu speaker. Bantu means people, coming from Cameroon and Angola, stretching all the way through Southeast Africa and South Africa from the so-called Bantu expansion. We include that too. And we understand that the first Creole people that was known to records, even though Creolization happened thousands and thousands of times, and for thousands and thousands of years before you even have the word Creole. Creole is a French word. You know what I'm saying? But the mixture in between that we see happening, it's a Latin word actually. But the mixture, French is a form of Latin. I said it right. But what I'm saying is that the cross and mingling that you find objectively comes from a lot of our Congo-speaking ancestors in Cameroon and Angola with the Portuguese. So you have these Congo Creole people. You know what I'm saying? And that's also part of our culture. So we say Western Sudanic Congo Creole because it represents the mosaic of Africa, sub-Saharan, Western, Central Africa, from all those people that we come from. And creolization just doesn't happen with the intermingling with different Western Sudanic, sub-Saharan African tribes or Western Central African tribes of different groups of people, which is all part of that umbrella of a Niger-Congo language over all language family speaking groups. But it also has something to do with the hybrid cultural society that we develop in. That includes our European ancestors as well. We don't denounce any part of us. We don't denounce any part of our struggle. We don't denounce any part of our experience. We don't denounce that because it's part of who we are in the diaspora. Coming through the Caribbeans all the way to the further northern parts of America, it's all part of our situation, our challenge. This is what makes us who we are. So we include the British. Even our dialect of English with the Ebonic, it has a lot of African flavor. But we're not going to forget about the major baseline to this language family that we speak. So we also include that. Some of us being partially Irish, 10% British, and all the other components that make us up for the American struggle. That's all part of the creolization. Development in this hybrid cultural society, the intermingling with the different groups of people that we come from Southwest and Central Africa, and it gives us a fucking identity. We have an identity, and we are Western Sudanic Congo Creole. And if you want to add so-called African American on that, because it is a distinct group now, we are a distinct unit of people. We are a distinct group. We are distinct from other people. That's a fact. I can feel where the ADOs come from in a certain angle. I don't feel when they denounce their other brothers and sisters. And I also don't feel when a lot of our continental brothers try to denounce us. Not saying all of them are like that, but there is a difference, and people recognize that politically. So we got to put ourselves in a political game. My mother, which is a continental African, she's been in the United States since she was 2. Her mother being born in Algeria, but my father's an African, the so-called African American. I have a lot of heritage that's responsible for building the United States through my father's side. But just not that, but even through my mother's side. A lot of the people on the continent that they're related to was brought here, whether it was through Gal, Senegal, which is her father, and the southern Algerians that descend from one of my greatest grandmothers was Hausa going through Nigeria before intermingling with populations in Algeria, intermingling with those people, in between with a few other groups of people becoming who they are. So all of those components is responsible, whether it's direct or indirect. But I will say this: we have to respect all of that part of us, but also respect our experience independently that we've been through here. So with that being said, like I respect what the ADOS is trying to say, but I don't respect the part when they go out their way to disregard the other components that make them up. But I do recognize what they mean when they talk about the independent struggle, and it should be respected, because if it wasn't for a lot of the people that was here as a minority in the beginning, going through what we went through, my grandmother wouldn't have been able to come here. A lot of foreigners wouldn't have been able to come here off the challenges and different shit that we had to go through to be so-called accepted to even play this so-called American citizenship game. A lot of people are able to go through and get their citizenship as immigrants because of the challenges that the so-called African American went through as fighting for equality. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So all of that plays a role with our character as Western Sudanic Congo Creole. And we are a distinct group, like I said, and we are our own group of people, even though overall we're all people. But every group of people have an experience. You won't say an American European or American white man is the same thing as a British white man, because when an American white man goes to the UK, there's a difference. They don't see each other the same. One will be calling one a Yankee, and the other will be calling the other a yuppie. Europeans from the UK or Europe don't really, recognize a cultural aspect of the so-called American white boy. And he's just like us. He's Creole too. Because most of these white people don't even have one unit or one group population that they come from in North America.
Right.
They don't. You ask a white boy, who is he? He gonna tell you I'm a little Irish, a little German. My great grandmother was French. And then they got one immigrant grandmother who probably came here in 1930 who was Polish. So they got a lot of in between going on within their group as well. That's part of being in a hybrid cultural society. That's the blending. So now we understand where the unit of black and white come from, and the competition of the white house and the black house, or the white body and the black body, or the lower caste and the upper caste. You became black once you got here. When you was living in West and Central Africa, everybody looked the same. They wasn't identified as black. But to oppose him when you got here, that's when you was slapped against and called black. And when other niggas come here, I don't give a fuck who you is. You could be a recent Nigerian, a recent Mandinka, a black ass Sahawi from Central Morocco. If you look a certain way, you bring your ass here, you're gonna be slapped with the target black. You see, in America, the black and white game stands. Outside of it, it might not. So you know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's the situation is real.
That's right, man. So let me ask you, man. I've discovered this with the Sudanese Creole expansion. It's really amazing and dynamic, and it's good that you said that. I have to really, I've been putting this off. For me to be on Team Osiris, guys, I have not done a DNA test. I recently met some elders, man. I met some elders that we have been looking for in Tennessee. Found out we were very prominent in Tennessee. And I found out that I may have German in my family, bro. And I said, wow, this is amazing. Talk about that dynamic with black people, man, because we got this false dichotomy of black, white, this racism and colorism that, yes, it's prevalent. White supremacy, racism is a fact. But we also have to own up to our history and our culture, which makes us diverse as Africans in America. So talk about the dynamic, like myself and other African Americans that go through this particular dynamic, and why they should not think they're less than anything but Africa.
I mean, we should, first of all, the Homo sapiens species is an African species. It don't matter if it's a man as pale as snow, or if it's a person as black as space. The limb proportions, the human characteristic, the function of the Homo sapien, the cognitive response of the Homo sapien, the way you move as a Homo sapien, the rotating shoulder blade, the rectangular orbit eye socket, angular sclerosis neck segment angle. All of that develops in sub-Saharan Africa. The bipedalness that Homo sapiens are able to walk upright. That's unique to Africa. The only thing that's distinct is the mutations or the gene expressions which make people look distinct or different based off area and environment through time. But that species that we see in Europe, whether it's a British, whether it's an Irish, that's a Homo sapien. And that Homo sapien root and that blueprint and the physical anatomy developed in Africa. The only thing that became different is certain mutations or certain mutation at the clinal level. The alleles or pair of genes express itself different because of certain environmental pressures, because of certain things that people lack, and it made them different. So overall, you're African regardless. You're African regardless. With me having some Middle Eastern ancestry and some Northern European ancestry, that doesn't denounce my Africanness. I just got some genes that Homo sapiens developed in the North, and some genes that Homo sapiens developed independently in the Middle East. Yet still, this is an African species. So we gonna check. We can nip that in the bud. So Homo sapiens sapien is an African species. As far as what happened to us over here, it's part of, again, this is part of our creolization. There has been a sense of dilution. You're not 100% Yoruba or 100% Mandinka. I mean, that's impossible. Because you spent time over here and you intermingled with people that was responsible for, not intermingle, but you're a strong force and you're responsible for building this. There has been sex and reproduction going on. And in any case, in any situation, you see this with old Homo sapien and Neanderthal. If you're around people and you're living around, people are going to fuck. I mean, we on a grown person show, so we're going to talk about what people do. So in between, you're going to pick up genes from sex. Life is about successful reproduction. That's part of evolution. And when genes are selected, it's based on things that's beneficial that the gene needs. So what I'm saying is that in certain cases, you're going to have a lot of African Americans with 5 to 10% European, or sometimes 25% and 22% on average. When it comes to the human genome, when we study African Americans and study their human genome, it ranges from 5 at the lowest, sometimes 2, highest is 25% on average. And sometimes you find, in small pointers where people are a little bit above that average. But yet still, that's part of the African American story. That's what makes us who we are. Some people are not biracial. Some people come from not direct biracial, but they come from people that's highly admixed, with highly admixed backgrounds. They walking around here looking like Prince, and they might only be 55% sub-Saharan African. Does that make them less than being an African American by culture? Or you know what I'm saying? Especially with the whole idea of the false sense of a one-drop rule. But we're not gonna go there outside of Bowman's one-drop rule. So you're gonna find African Americans with 20% European, German, Irish. 20% of the African Americans overall in the human genome, based off people that have been tested and DNA that has been sequenced, you find African American men, and 20% overall with Y chromosomes that go back to Britain or Ireland. And that Y chromosome is R1b N269. But autosomally, they might be 70 to 80% sub-Saharan African. Autosomal DNA is what determines who you are ethnically over your small percentage of your Y chromosome. You got me, I got haplogroups as African. Autosomally, I'm 69% sub-Saharan African. Out of that 69%, I'm damn near 31% or 30% non-African. But does it stop me from being an African? No. I'm Homo sapien sapien. That portion of me that's non-African, because of the genes that they developed that became independent on its own based off geographical location and change, that still is an African species. So I play reverse psychology with it. I accept it. And say overall I'm Homo sapiens sapiens, so I'm an African species. So what I'm saying is that we have to embrace, our struggle in the mingling and the mixing, and just embrace the human experience, because it's a gift. It's a gift. And the only people that make black beautiful, because we recognize it and turn something negative to positive. Not like I said, 600 years ago, no sub-Saharan African was calling himself a black man. And then when they did call us that nigger or Niger or negro, it was an insulting term. But we learned how to make it powerful. And we made black look beautiful. Them niggas over there on the continent, they don't recognize their blackness. We made that shit famous. You had Aborigines in Australia trying to join the Black Panther Party at one time. People in Black Latin America, and in parts of Latin America, we was having these people want to get involved with the Black Panther Party. People in Papua New Guinea. People in sub-Saharan Africa started embracing their blackness because the African American was embracing blackness. But before that, one reason why you were brought here is because niggas didn't embrace their blackness. Niggas in the West and Central Africa see each other different. Igbo didn't give a fuck about giving up a Yoruba. A Yoruba didn't give a fuck about giving up an Igbo. A Mandinka didn't give a fuck about giving up a Wolof. And a Wolof didn't give a fuck about giving up a goddamn Sparrow. If you in the way, nigga, we get rid of you. That's how it was. Right. We're not going to make it seem like everybody was innocent. It's because of the differences in how they deal with one another. Right. But when you were put over here and you had no other choice but to survive because you were around one another and you were distinct and different from the people that was the upper class or the upper force that controlled the narrative, you had no choice but to stick together and be one. And that's what creates the Pan-Africanism or the independence of black power. Because collectively we had no choice but to identify with this blackness because we was all in the same situation.
Wow. I want to send a shout out to Brother Malik, Cuban Crisis, his YouTube channel. A lot of the members of Team Osiris have branched off and have started their own YouTube channels, and this is a testament to the legacy and the matrix of Team Osiris. Shout out to Malik. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and join his channel, Into the Crisis. Doing great work, man. Social political genius. Very, very, very down to earth, brother. Please join his channel. Another channel that I've been watching, that brother Ngozi's been on quite often, Malik Kamara. Powerful YouTube channel, man. I don't know the name of the channel. Do you know the name of the channel, Ngozi?
It's Malik Kamara. He got his it's a man named just Malik Kamara. On Facebook, his name is Malik Kamara, and I think his YouTube channel is Malik Kamara. Also, brother Hero Jones have a page sometimes when he post stuff, and Brother Joshua also have something going.
Yes, I'm just gonna mention him. Brother Joshua also has his son.
Yes.
Young man that talks about science, man. That's how deep this legacy goes, man.
Yes.
Also, we got the sister Tiffany L. French.
Yes, Tiffany doing her thing. The queen is definitely doing her thing.
She's grinding.
Tiffany L. French.
She's grinding.
I think she up to 200 subscribers, but the sister always got something good to build on. I've been on her show a few times, so yes, Tiffany. I'm really proud of the sister. The sister can come up with good topics. She talks about quantum physics. She talks about situations that we're going through right now. She talks about the difference between us and the people on the continent. I mean, she don't feel like that, but she let people vent and talk about it. She come up with so many good topics. So big ups to the queen, and big ups to brother Malik Kamara, man. That brother he's also a street Sufi, Baraka. Where he's part of that movement with the street Sufi movement. Also, you know what I'm saying, he got a lot of shit going on. He actually helped me a lot in the background. So I pay homage to him. And Brother Gullah Geechee Jack, also, he doing his thing. I can't wait to finish that Fulani show with him. And I want to also give credit and pay homage to Cuban Crisis, because Cuban Crisis is doing his thing. I want to finish that show with him and his queen, on the Afro-Cuban demonstration of African history in Cuba. So I want to finish that as well.
No doubt, man, no doubt. And I do appreciate everyone that is actually attending in the building right now. And please, this is a new channel, guys, so share to Facebook. Share this to Facebook, okay? Because of the algorithms in YouTube, we want to make sure this message gets out to everybody. Make sure you share, and make sure you subscribe, like the channel, like the video. We appreciate the loyalty and the years that you guys have appreciated the information. So make sure that you do that, man. That is vital. That is critical. So, man, let's talk about the dynamic that we call Africa. Let's talk about that, Ngozi. Why do you think that we do not understand the human experience yet? We are just misled by this misnomer. I call it a misnomer, and that is color. Understanding the genetics and what color classifies humans as, and why. Why do humans have different colors? Why do we have different colors? Let's start there. Let's start with the basics.
Well, color, skin tone is based off environment and adaptation. I mean, at one time, before Homo sapiens developed, we had different stages of becoming highly pigmented before we developed higher levels of tyrosine, which is that amino acid that's responsible for melanocytes or melanosomes to express itself. UP7 genes are different things, which puts things in certain types of dormant to allow tyrosine levels or that amino acid level to drive that's responsible for our dark pigment environmentally. Before that, when we were, Australopithecus, and before that, she was two-tone. She was close to like bonobo chimps. Dark face, but under the fur she had light spots. But by the time you became Homo sapien in open savanna, Homo sapien was a completely dark pigmented person. But you still got a reminder. See, this is the pseudoism and colorism that the so-called, Anglos and the British, all the way to those early Persians and Indo-European speakers came up with. You got a reminder of the phase change, because skin tone it's sturdy. It's not really. It changes. Tones can change if you understand how the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis work and how pigmentation expresses itself. There's a sturdiness that goes on with darker pigment, even with hair texture. So the thing is that, the reminder is the bottom part of your feet and the other part of your hand outside of your dark pigment. Or looking at how a baby develops in the womb before the pigmentation starts to kick in. The oldest form, and the whole thing with black and white doesn't make sense, because when it comes to dermatology, there's no such thing as black and white. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so-called black doesn't equate you to be African. So yes, as Homo sapiens, they were dark skinned in open savanna. They started getting completely darker in the open savanna as Homo erectus 2 million years ago. Mm-hmm. After that, you start to see, more of the hair start to shed off, and then we became completely dark. But skin tone can go always backwards and forward. Even with the lighter skin population that we see that went into the Middle East, and they lack certain vitamin D from certain types of especially when they were farming. and they depend more on grains. It wasn't just a climatic factor that changed color of the skin. There was also certain nutrients and certain amino acids that certain groups of people wasn't getting, which allowed things to change, primarily vitamin D. So it only makes sense for you to develop fairer skin or lighter skin in the higher altitudes of ultraviolet rays, living in certain Arctic zones or certain zones that isn't as subtropical from the zone that we come from in zone 2. It only makes sense for the species to develop fairer skin. So alanine changes into thionine, and then 111 amino acid changes its position. Once it changes position, A11T, you start to see sodium, potassium, calcium that change to 55 mutation. So people develop fairer skin. They started to develop this around Anatolia, where those farmers in the further part of the east were lacking certain nutrients compared to the farmers in the Levant. They were still brown. These brown people were called Natufians. And the skin tone that the Natufians had was close to like Somali or Habesha. But the ones in the further eastern Anatolia, because of certain things they lack, and they depend more on grains, they develop this fairer skin. And some of the North Africans who got stuck in the Atlas Mountains in the Middle Glacier period, some of those people developed fairer skin as well, also with intermingling with certain Southern Europeans who found refugium in North Africa, bringing certain genes over there that's responsible. So skin color isn't really a factor to determine, what's an African and what's not an African. That shit comes from so-called white people. They make you focus on that. They make you focus on that to create this false sense of a caste. Because when you go back to the origin of white and black, you got to go back into around 600 to 700 BC with the Persian Zoroastrians. And when you deal with the Zoroastrian Persians, black and white was based off the forces. Forces are positive and the forces are negative. When it comes to skin, that shit comes in the 15th century with the Europeans, and they created this false narrative based off the ideology of white meaning pure and black meaning evil. And they gave that image to themselves because of their fair skin. The ancient Mediterranean Greeks didn't call themselves white. Matter of fact, one of the Greeks, if I forgot his name, he said, "We are not pale like those of the north, and we are not black like those of the south of Egypt who are cowardly." You get what I'm saying? These are Mediterranean Greeks.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that, or so-called black. He said, "We are not dark or swarthy as those of the south who are cowardly, and we are not pale like those of the north." Or, a lot of African Americans have what they call Arab pale skin, but the early Arab nationalists didn't call themselves pale skin. They called themselves swarthy skin. They knew that they were distinct from the ones in the north of Europe. So what I'm saying is that we got to be careful with that. We can't get caught up in skin to determine what's original and what's not. You get what I'm saying?
That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But as Homo sapiens sapien, he was dark skinned. And we find a reminder of these broad features, whether it's the broadness of skin or whether it's the broadness of features, even with our dark-skinned Aborigine ancestors, or even the first natives that crossed the Bering Strait 30,000 years ago, they found in fossils. Those first natives that came over here were dark-skinned, with wavy hair, because the Eterlocus mutation kicked in before the later stratum or the later phase of those who adapted to colder climates start coming in. 30,000 years ago, you found the first phase change from Australoid into the transitional phase into a so-called Paleo-Mongoloid through Tiwan man. So at this time, these early people near Siberia were dark-skinned. And if they came over here 30,000 years ago because of the tools they found, they were dark-skinned. But the ones that stayed, that kept coming through the Bering Strait, started developing different skin tones through time. So skin should never be a determining factor of who is who. Or you being black as Wesley Snipes make you more African than the light-skinned Berber that live next to the Mediterranean.
Right.
That's foolish.
Right. And so do you think that is a mechanism of division? Because when we look at the words, and I find out a lot of times that people don't invest in their culture, and they're economically deprived because they don't understand that language is treated just like money. It's called social commerce. And so when we look into the language, we see racist. That means ist denotes a marketer. So what you're saying is that the racist is actually peddling the idea of race to create division in order to market and benefit off the division. Basically, like
Yeah.
economics, the law of scarcity. So they
Yes.
okay, go ahead, King. I'm sorry, I want to cut your wisdom.
No. I don't want to cut your wisdom, but I'm saying yes. I'm agreeing with you. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. Go ahead and finish. That's exactly what's happening. Yes.
So if we had a dream to unify, we always say our solution is discovering the science, man. You know, why do we have such doubt in science as a people without letting color divide this understanding? Why do we have a doubt in science that gives us life and gives us understanding every single day? Why do we believe people that are scientists or observers of science are closed-minded, atheists? Where do people get these ideas from?
I mean, there's a strong cognitive dissonance in us as a people because we depend on science in some angles and then we don't in some angles. So when it comes to a woman, I'm not saying all of us, but when it comes to a lot of our sisters that's trying to get a pregnancy test to get child support, she go to science. Or when it comes to a brother trying to take a pregnancy, when it's time for a brother to see if a baby isn't his, he gets a DNA test. He don't believe in science, so he got to get that DNA test to prove that baby is his because he don't want to be on no papers. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Or if a woman, and I'm just saying, and for those women who just want to know if they're pregnant by their husband, not if they, because you got women that be on bullshit. You got some that want to find out if they're pregnant by their husband. She go get a pregnancy test. That's science. We depend on technology. We want the new iPhone. STEM is very important. Science, technology, engineering, and math. We want to go if we get sick, we go to the emergency room. We depend on science. But in certain angles, when it comes to certain things, we don't want to deal with science. We don't want to deal with science when it comes to understanding the process of evolution. We don't want to deal with science when it comes to talking about, what determines skin and what's not. That's when you say, oh, that's the white man's science, or he's lying. And then we create this, in our subjective mind, we honestly believe that this dude is God. That's why we give him so much power and credit to human discoveries. That's why we give him so much power and credit to understanding science better than we do, because we feel like we're not supposed to be able to do that because we just niggas in certain angles subconsciously. Mm-hmm. That's his job to be the person that figures shit out. I ain't got to figure that shit out. And then when he figure it out, he tell you what it is. Oh, he's lying. Okay, why don't you show and prove that he's lying? Why don't you go through the same process that he went through to show and prove that what he say don't make sense? So subconsciously, in some weird way, we personify the white man as God, even when we disagree with him. And we disagree with him out of fear, without having a fully complete understanding of what's what.
That's a fact, man. That's let me ask you this. With that being said, and I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, guys, because the conversation is evolving. The notion of God. Does atheism, which is actually a part of the golden mean. A lot of people don't know that the golden mean is the equivalent of a class or school of divinity, because it was the golden mean which gave away to the equation of pi. The symbol of pi represents the agnostic that atheism is a branch of, but the overall umbrella is under agnosticism. All right, because true agnostics will not deny the possibility of God. They will accept the fact that it cannot be explained in a certain manner within physics. So mathematics and science is the God of an atheist or an agnostic. So don't think that spirituality doesn't exist in that world. And I'm asking you, Brother Ngozi, the term God. What is wrong with the term God? Is there something wrong with using the term God?
Well, I speak English. If I didn't speak English, God, I have a problem with it. But we know that Germanically, we understand that the term God goes back to Odin, which means to call on or to invoke. It's a process. God, go. And then you go back to Odin, But that's all the linguistic history of what gave rise to the term God.
That's right.
In my that doesn't mean shit. That's the history that prepared for the word God. But I speak English. I speak the Indo-European language. So I can't get caught up in the bullshit of that's an Indo-European word. But you speak English, which is part of the Indo-European language. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? That's just the origin of the root of that word, God, which means to call on or to invoke. I don't find a problem with the word God. Now, does this God exist? It depends on how you define God. I mean, if you're looking at it from an anthropomorphic figure that human beings created, which is basically mental constructs, I mean, no, that doesn't exist. That's a mental construct created by man. But if I say God is the laws of physics, that's something that can be proven. I see the laws of physics as divine. And when I say divine, that's poetically speaking. That's not literal. Divinity is based on beauty, art. So the laws of physics and understanding the behavior patterns of the environment and life that I live, I see that as the divine, as the upper force. And I package it as God, based off how I want to deal with God. That's the beautiful thing about this sloppy language that we call English. You can make the shit whatever you wanted to make it. The language that you speak is scribble squabble anyway. Look up the history of English and the Germanic tone and different things that it comes from before we even have English. So my thing is that, we're not going to downplay everything that we have as a people. This is what we have, and this is what we're going to work with. So yes, we understand the history of the term God, Odin, and all that. And yes, atheos, A means no, theos means deity. And absolutely, once you understand that there is no deity from a mental construct, an anthropomorphic figure that man created, no, that's not real. I'm atheos on that angle. But ultimately, I look at myself as the theos. So here's the trick. It's the paradox. I could say I'm agnostic because I don't have knowledge of the absolute, because it's beyond me. Yet still I see myself as the deity. Deity only means linguistically dios or deities, which means divine nature. I am the embodiment of this divine nature, personified. Persona, a person, means mass. So does it? So how do we go by that?
Yes, sir.
So I am the embodiment of the absolute.
Right.
It's a trick. So there is a secret power to being atheos if you understand the deeper meaning. Atheos isn't just a nigga that's running on the corner denouncing, the biblical text. Because first of all, biblical text wasn't never put in place to be taken literal. It's poetry. Right. It's human drama packaged in a book.
That's right.
So for a person to walk around here every day ripping it up and making fun of any religious text, it's a problem when a person becomes a zealot and they try to force it on you. But anybody with common sense that reads the stories can see that the people that wrote it knew that they was writing something that wasn't meant to be taken literal. Just like dealing with Ifa. Yoruba, when you're dealing with the Orishas, each Orisha represents a part of the human psyche. These are human characteristics, and we see it every day. We see it through the people attributes, and we also see it through the processes of nature. Man attributes is reflections of what we get from the environment or nature itself. The characteristics that we see in the seasons is the characteristics that we see through our human impulse. Because the body that we have is borrowed from the environment of life anyway. So all you are doing is playing out the elements in a humanistic way, yet still you depend on the same forces that everything else in life depends on. You just play it out in your own role. And that's the metaphor of the flute of Krishna. You are the instrument of God, because you are the instrument of the environment, which plays a role, setting your own things in motion. That's the beauty of life, metaphorically speaking.
That's right. That's powerful, bro. We got Tristan Turner. Trizzy Tree is in the building. Team Osiris is on the horizon. Want to acknowledge you, brother. What's going on?
Peace to the team, man. Hey, welcome back, Team Osiris. We're serious please down here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yes, no doubt. So, and I appreciate that, Triz. Since we're talking about this and goes in, and a lot of times people feel pressured. It's epidemic when it comes to self loathing and self-sabotage. When we see the motifs of God, and we understand that when we see black Christians in the South, the Creoles, the Gullah Geechee, these people of the South, particularly because they play a major role in our religion. Black Christianity is not white Christianity. Now, I'm using color as loosely, guys, because each culture adopted Christianity in a different way because of
That's
assimilation and indoctrination. Black Christianity comes from Ifa, Vodun, Condoble. It comes from gods with the name Kulu Kulu and things like that. It's not this Christian that you think that's Jesus Christ. That is an Anglo-Saxon Protestant construct because they protested against the Catholics that imprisoned them. So they have their own diaspora. And they came to America for refuge from their cultural, nemesis. All right, so this is a human experience, and I want Ngozi to kind of touch on that because through genetics we can understand these things. But go ahead, Ngozi.
Well, Jesus Christ, metaphorically speaking, don't belong to white people. That's one thing we got to understand: the origin of Christianity. Before the Romans had it, there was a system in Galilee. In Palestine, or that place that we call Palestine. That's right. It's just the Christianity that we see. We don't know what the original Christianity was like. Because we don't really have a setting of it. The closest thing I could say, it was a set of Judaism, a type of Judaism, and it was really close to how Muslims act. To be honest with you, even though they just had a Jesus figure instead of the figure that we see as that we see in Islam. What I'm saying is that the Romans concocted their own version of Christianity. They formulated this thing called Christianity. It wasn't even called Christianity when the people in Palestine had it. It was Nazwahi. It was a form of Christian. It was a form of Judaism. It was a distinctive Jewish sect. So it doesn't belong to them. So when the white boys get their hands on it, or the Mediterranean, I'm not even going to say white boys, because the Anglos didn't give it until the Romans gave it to them. The Romans made, those Mediterranean Romans, swarthy-skinned Romans, made it a nationalistic thing when they set up the Vatican. And by the time they got it, they introduced that as the mainstream religion to Europe, right? That was their version. But then when blacks got it, black people in the Congo was practicing Christianity. The Portuguese, the blacks, if you study the Zinga King, he was a Christian. Now, who he got it from, we understand he, was networking with the Portuguese, so different things. But when the Ethiopians got it, the Ethiopians didn't get it from, white. But Prometheus was a Lebanese. He was born in Lebanon. He was a slave that King Azana had. He introduced Christianity to him. So it wasn't given to him by white boys. Now, if you want to say a Mediterranean type of person gave it to him, whatever. But what I'm saying is that the Christianity that we see from either part, yes, like you said, the Protestants or the white people in America or the Anglos, the British who fought against the Roman Church, they became Protestants, broke away and created their own branch. And then as we was dragged here in America, we were introduced to Christianity. But we can't say the Bible, like I hear a lot of blacks in the country, the Bible was written and enslaved Africans through King James. The white boy had slaves from Africa in the late 1500s, to be honest with you. And the King James Version was created in the 1600s if you look up the time period. So how the fuck was he writing a book for you? Or translate it for you? He wasn't. So what I'm saying is, yes, that later on with us here, they introduced Christianity to you, but we mixed it in our own thing. We mixed it with Ephah and different things. One of the first churches that blacks here in the South, in Carolina and Virginia, the African Pentecostal church, if you study the history. So our whole image of Jesus and our whole image of Christ and God was very distinct. And we used the church as a safe haven for what we was going through in our own way. That's all we had. So we're not going to downplay our black Christian grandmothers or our black Christian, grandfathers or black people that find Jesus today and change their life to make them a better person. I'm not going to do that. If Christ works for you, Jesus Christ is real. If it works for you, I can't tell you nothing different because that's your own personal experience.
That's right.
The idea of God is subjective. So the black church played a major role in our West Sudan Congo Creole culture. It did. And there have been beautiful people that came out of the so-called black church. There's been horrible people, but it's also been beautiful people that came out of it.
Right.
It has. And so I'm not going to, Harriet Tubman was a Christian. Dr. Martin Luther King, whether people like him or not. He got beat, hit upside the head, he was a Christian. Whatever. I'm not going to downplay Islam. Because Islam played a major role in our development and our culture over here. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad came. It gave us beautiful people like Malcolm X. All the powerful people that we have. It played a role. I'm not downplaying anything that we produced over here like it's less than. The fuck out of here. I'd rather
listen to Clemens 13X or Father God Allah tell me about me being an embodiment of Allah than talk to a racist ass Arab from Saudi Arabia. I'd rather sit down and talk to Elijah Muhammad and listen to his interpretation of Allah than listen to some racist ass motherfucking nigga in Palestine. Or, you know what I'm saying? Not even to downplay the people in Palestine when they going through struggles, but a racist ass Syrian, where we find racism going on amongst people that look like me and you. So what I'm saying is that what we produce here was for us, and we should uplift it and we should embrace it. The Black Muslim community, now we don't have to agree with the doctrine for those who went into further studies and they learned more. But let's not downplay it. Let's not make it seem like the Black church didn't help, help us, help develop us culturally, or how Islam didn't help us when we created it, when we get to know what Alis and different things.
That's right.
That shit was dope.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's good because people need to hear this, Ngozi. It's about one soul. This is what we talk about. It's about one soul. Your heritage runs deep, everybody. It's not about sectarianism and the linear way of thought. Yes, that is European ontology. It has nothing to do about opposition. We have a distinct lineage in our historical background of being American Africans. Even though the term African American is a colloquial term, we are actually, American Africans because we are African by base and we have been assimilated into an American culture. So that means that our African culture is still ours and ours to keep and ours to manifest. When we take on different dichotomies, it doesn't change the fact that it's an African dichotomy because Africa has its own separate ontology. And the way that we use our ontology in different religious sects creates African epistemology. There's a big difference when we're talking about cultures because there's the misnomer of race. And we reduce everything to race, which is a social political construct. It has nothing to do with your ethnic background. Those that are linked to what the European call tribes. Normally it's a disrespectful word, but those ethnic groups of people that commune with one another and have their own form of religion. Human beings do natural things that we call religion. We use modern terms for natural archaic things. Human beings have been religious since the beginning of time. How do you feel about that, Brother Ngozi? I don't know why people don't understand that. Maybe because they're bound by the word religious. What do you think about that?
I mean, symbolic thought is what drove us to who we are. Symbolic thought is what makes us Homo sapiens sapiens. The complexity of our cerebral cortex to allow us to even produce symbolic thought. Symbolic thought is what makes us create cell phones, create the car. You know what I'm saying? Religion only means, look up the word linguistically, it only means to link back or to tie to. It's something that you do repetitiously. Like if you play basketball every Friday at 5 o'clock. Person asks you, hey bro, you play ball? Oh man, I play basketball religiously. Or you know what I'm saying? You got a certain time period where you beat up and you do it. Or you have a gathering, you know. Are you into physics? I study and I do physics physically. I do physics religiously. It's something that you do repetitiously. It's something that you link back to. If you're a professor, your religion is your profession, and you do it repetitiously. You link back to it. You have a tie to it. So I mean, a lot of people lack content, and that's why they're angry and they want to argue. Because you understand a broader scale of things, that shit don't really matter. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? Like if you see the broader scale of things, you can't tell me that Jesus ain't real, but you know all this shit about Kemet, but you going through what you going through. You don't even take care of your motherfucking kids. You out here bogus as hell begging on food stamps. Talking about I don't do science, but you depending on food stamps. And then you got this dude that got this black church who's running his business the way he got to, own blocks and own communities, and doing things and got shit in order and taking care of his family, while you know about Asar and Hotep and all this other bullshit 4,000 years ago, but you all right. See, you have to base things off what you see. Examples of progression. So if it ain't working for you, I don't want to hear it. But if you understand the broadest, or the larger things, or if you see it not on the surface level, but if you see the deeper aspect of certain things, people don't got time to worry about that. Because whether you believe or whether you don't believe, we all going through the same challenge. We all going through the same shit.
That's right.
Are you taking care of your family? Can you pay your bills? Is your life in order? Is your wife happy? Is your kids happy with you being a father? Is your kids happy with you being a mother? Do you got your life? Do you got things set up for your family just in case you don't make it? Because we don't know what's going to happen. Do you got health insurance? You understand? I'm just saying, the things, the tools, and the things that we need to survive while living in a society. What role are you playing in? So people that talk shit because they choose to be closed-minded, those people lack content. Because when you don't lack content and you are exposed to different things, you ain't got time to worry about what a person's belief is. Who cares? If what you do works for you, that's all that matters. How you living, fam?
That's right. That's right. So if you know, with this dichotomy that we're talking about, which makes us amazing, it really does. It makes us absolutely amazing. We understand now. You've broken down this color scheme. So this is the lead-in show, brother. We're going to be revising a lot of videos, guys, because I don't know if Ngozi gets it, but I get requests all the time. Can you bring up, current information on a particular topic that we did a long time ago? And that's actually true because knowledge evolves. As people evolve, science evolves because the study of the human experience, human behavior, the biological function of humans is always evolving. Brother Ngozi, we do need you to do a stream on evolution, and particularly the difference between a monkey, an ape, and human beings. I keep hearing this, bro. I keep hearing it, and I'm not saying it to disprove anyone anymore. That's just a waste of time. I'm talking about for the Team Osiris family, so that they can maintain a solid understanding of the human experience. So
I wanted to do a show on that. I want to do a show on because again, like you said, I love teaching. I'm a teacher. I love teaching the people, whether they want to hear it or not. It ain't to compete. It's not to be a competition. It ain't to say that I'm right. Yeah, whatever. You can feel how you feel. If you prove me wrong, you prove me wrong. So I love to teach, and I want to teach the people about evolution. And I'm willing to do a show about that. I'm also willing to do a show about vaccination because I'm getting a lot of vaccine shit.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of those.
I want to talk about vaccines. I want to talk about pathogens. I want to talk about viruses. I want to give people a full understanding of what people are talking about. Because people don't, they acting like they got the credentials, they acting like they can talk about it, and they don't even have a full complete understanding. So I want to talk about evolution. I want to talk about viruses. I want to talk about the behavior of viruses. I want to talk about vaccinations. I want to talk about all of that. Is it beneficial? Is it not beneficial? Let's talk about it.
And one thing also, because we're coming to an end, but I would want you to talk about, and you don't talk about it enough, bro. But Brother Ngozi actually played a role in saving my life. About a year ago, I started developing conditions from my illnesses that were coming back in a subliminal way. The body, I was being tested because we have a certain issue with our biological function, and it's called the mind. And your psychology is definitely a byproduct of your environment. And I was like, man, what's going on with me? And Ngozi gave me some great information on building the immune system and eating in a logical way. Now, we're not talking about this vegetarian versus meat eater versus paleo. We're not talking about all that. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about how to give nutrients to the body, because your mind wants to taste the food, but your gut wants nutrition. I'm gonna say that again. Your mind wants to taste food, but your gut needs nutrition. So it may not taste the best. That's not the purpose of eating. The purpose of eating is fuel for the body. And Ngozi broke that down to me, man. And he changed my whole mentality around it. Right now, man, I'm in the gym 2 hours every day. It's amazing. That's right. It's amazing. And so I'm telling you guys, it works. And I would love for Ngozi to do a show on that, man, because you don't do it a lot. But people don't even know your own personal transformation. Ngozi don't even look the same. I had to do a double take. I'm like, he done lost 10 years off his life. People ask me, you can't be 50 pounds soon. It's impossible. So I do want you to do something like that.
And you know what? We gonna definitely do a show on that. And yes, brother Consul, I think that is important for us to understand nutrition and understand how nutrients work, the proper amino acid, the proper exercising, proper things that the human body needs, minerals, a lack of minerals, and how nutrients and minerals plays a major role with our development as an organism, environmental, the proper environment. I'm glad you brought that up. And there's a few people that I talk to, you know, outside of this. I just liberated a few people from understanding COVID. They had it. They beat it. They didn't have to go to the emergency room. I mean, they did everything that I taught a few people, you know, and they good. So yes, when you understand minerals and you understand nutrients and you understand certain things the body needs when it comes to minerals and how to provide the body for what it needs, because as you get older, your telomeres start to split quicker. And if it splits quicker, certain minerals you lack. So you have to make it up by putting it inside of the body. So the telomeres is not saying you're going to stop yourself from aging, but this is actually the fountain of youth. What you eat and what you put inside of your body and proper exercise is the real fountain of youth. Proper breathing, proper drinking. I mean, what I mean by, I'm talking about, you know, proper water, proper nutrients. That's the real fountain of youth. So yes, at one time, after I got shot, I was down this shit, 280 pounds. Right now, shit, I'm 185 pounds. You know what I'm saying? I run 8 miles. I run sometimes 6 or 7 miles. You know, I do shit, 1,000 push-ups. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. I mean, a lot of people can do it. There's people that do it. You know, my brother Joseph, he's boxing. I'm getting ready to start back boxing and training. You know, just get the body in order. But you don't have to die. That's not the way.
Say that, man.
So
you do not have to die. Yes, sir.
Yeah, King.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And that is another topic you really taking it in my head, because COVID, guys, let me tell you, I know a couple of episodes while I was dealing with COVID, because I could tell my body functions, but I learned to have an intimate relationship with my body and understanding my immune system is my protection and knowing how to feed your immune system. And the number one factor to feeding your immune system is hydration. Hydration keeps the timing of the organs and the oxygen that goes into your blood. Your blood is your lifeline. Your blood is your direct link to your ancestors. And sometimes you have to break the habits that created conditions, not diseases. Very few of us suffer from disease. When we talk about the medical industry, they treat disease, but they misdiagnose conditions for diseases. And that's a big difference. And I remember talking to Ngozi about this and the importance of holistic approach toward him. And that means that some things require medication, because over a period of time, your body loses its ability to repair. But ultimately, you have to deal with your body's timing and natural nutritious foods over a period of time. So that's really amazing, Ngozi, and I'm definitely looking forward to that, man. I'm looking forward to you doing that.
And I'm gonna say this. I think that for us to do a show that's really important, because Joseph, Brother Tristan, even you, I think that we definitely should do a show on this, because I'm telling you, power of food, the power of nutrients, bro, you can stop your grays from developing. You could. I mean, some people got it automatically and naturally, but you can slow down the process of developing grays, bro. If you understand the power of vitamin B12, if you understand that shit, you can change your life.
Talk about it. I did it. So I know.
Yeah, so you understand it. If we understand, you know, certain things you need for the eyes, if you understand like bilberry and different things, understanding antioxidant fruits, especially blueberries and different things, bro, there is power in food. People should want to invest in eating properly, bro. That's what it's about. It ain't about having a lot of money. It's about having a healthy body and being able to function. That's it. That's where it starts, man. If you can't function right and your body's not right, you ain't gonna be able to function right psychologically and even go ahead and get no money.
Tell it.
How could you get money and you got a headache because your blood pressure high? How could you get money because your goddamn insulin level low? Now you all sluggish and shit. How could you get money?
In order to make the money, you have to have an active body. And in order to have an active body, you have to be getting live food. And it's not about being vegan. That vegan shit, I mean, don't get it twisted for those out there who are vegans, but it's not about being vegan. It's about eating live food. Even if you're getting the proper meat, it should be healthy. Like as the Muslims say, halal meat, or the kosher meat that you want to eat proper meat that doesn't have the nitrates in it and the chemicals in it and all that sodium and storage stuff that sits in there and stores inside of the body. That's one of the reasons why it causes cancer. Look up nitrates. Look at what it does when it develops into abnormal cell development in the body that forms into a collection of diseases and start to divide uncontrollably. Understand it. Understand, proper fasting. You get what I'm saying? Intermediate fasting. Understanding that method, yo. It's a power in it.
Yep.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And you guys got to understand, stress is what uses up vitamin B in your system. Stress uses up vitamin B. So those B's that Ngozi is talking about, the B12 specifically, is powerful. And that's why this kind of conversation, especially if we
vitamin B12 helps your nervous system, bro. You're absolutely correct, man. Mm-hmm. Yes, you got to understand the power of vitamin B12. I'm sorry, go ahead, because Cosmo, you going in, man. Go ahead.
No, it's no problem, because a lot of people talk about black power and black unity. I believe I am a black nationalist. I am a Moor. I am a Hebrew Israelite. See, in Chicago, we were black Hebrew Israelites. We identified with blackness, not anti-blackness. Anything we touched became black. If you was Catholic and you was black, it became a black. You was a black Catholic. So you wasn't. It was indicative to your heritage. And so when we understand our heritage, our lineage is based on our lack of health. That's what deprived us of our emancipation. We are unhealthy. We should be virile at 60 years old, virile at 70 years old. We have the ability to produce children at 70. It's all about what we eat. Eating is part of your ascension to God. If you are a godly person, you are what you eat. Cleanliness is next to godliness. And the first thing to go when your body degenerates is your mind. That's the first thing to go, because your mind is the conductor of the heart's message. The heart pumps the message. The heart is the central station. In Kemet, they got rid of the brain when the body deceased. They sucked the brain out, but they preserved the heart. Because they understood their science. And that bloodline is what links you to your ancestors. So you got to keep the blood cleansed. And I got this from Ngozi. Once Ngozi broke certain things down, I said, I need to go check on this shit. Because it's, what do you say? That's white supremacy. Bad health. Eating that bullshit and stressing on shit you ain't got no control over. And closing the show, I want to talk about this. The street Sufi. Now, I grew up in Taoism, Buddhism. I am a teacher of occult sciences and mysticism through Masonry. And I've been doing it for 25 years, half my life. And I've taught thousands of people about occult masonry and mysticism. I can't even believe I've done it this long. And Ngozi is part of that circle. And I'm proud of Ngozi developing the street Sufi system, because he's always been wanting to do that. I remember the Moorish regime. That was my shit. And Black Intelligentsia Guerrilla Family is part of the Team Osiris Matrix, and that's a matrix that I formed that deals with the eliteness of intelligence. And the first intelligence is the foundation of the body by feeding the body soul food. And I remember a lyric that Jay-Z said in a song, we took old food and made soul food. And a lot of people don't know what that alludes to. And this soul food comes in many different forms, not just food you eat on a plate. Things like street Sufi. And I would want Ngozi to kind of elaborate on street Sufi. And when we hear Sufi, we kind of associate that with Buddhism. So could you, in closing, man, can you kind of break down the street Sufi movement?
Well, we're the street Sufis because, first, I have an Islamic background, but I'm not religious. I'm secular with my Islam. And my thing is that also we all had Christian backgrounds. That's part of our culture. One side of my family is extremely Muslim, being Fulani and Algerian descent. Another side is Christian. Some people accept it, some people don't. Whatever. But I believe it plays a major role in our development. I have dealt with Hinduism independently, studying it, Taoism, Tao Te Ching, Ifa, all of that. So street Sufi, street, I'm only saying street because it relates to the urban community, people that's down with the earth. So street Sufi is an urban mystic. Sufi is a mystic. Sufi means wool. Wool. Look up the term. Wool. Mystic. Wool. Sufi. Silk. Wool. So it represents the urban mystic. Who is the urban mystic? It's this brother that you see, or these black brothers and sisters that you see, that got knowledge of self. That's the woolly image that we see. So we include all that philosophy in it. Tao Te Ching, the Sufistic side of Islam, or the esoteric side of Judaism, and also the major base to being the street Sufi is understanding science. So the Muslim thing, one who submits to the will of Allah, that's one thing. Whatever. To be Christ-like Christian, that's one thing. Whatever. But the ultimate term that we go by is barakah. Barakah in Arabic means to be blessed. So we're barakah. And it's also a meta word which means to kneel or to be humble, which goes back to Africa. So the street Sufi movement is barakah. And we deal with meditation, we deal with proper breathing, and we understand the basis of science. I literally teach physics. I literally teach the understanding of distant range and speed in physics so people can understand what's going on. I literally teach the behavior of the universe. And also we teach the power of breathing, the breathing exercise method. Like you talked about food earlier, we'll be talking about that. And we talk about all these different things. Just not talk about it, but we want to show and prove the existence of Allah or the divine. Because we remind it to you based off everything that you experience. So to be a street Sufi is not based off just a simple belief. It's about your experiences. Your experience is what brings you closer to the divine. Remember the term divine. That's a poetic expression to explain the beauty of things. So we see things clearer. Even with Adisa. Adisa is a Yoruba word which means one who is clear, which is also similar to the term Buddha, which means enlightenment. So you see things clear and you can see the beauty of life. You have the appreciation of water. You start to appreciate your family. You start to appreciate the air. You start to really have a personal relationship with the environment. And you can honestly say that you love your Mother Earth. You have an appreciation for sunlight. You have an appreciation for everything that's responsible for allowing you to function daily. That's the power of understanding the divine. And that's the power of understanding and dealing with the movement of what we got going on with being street Sufis, urban mystics.
That's right. I appreciate
yes,
that.
sir.
I appreciate that. That's real knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And I do appreciate that. So, man, we wanted to take this hour, hour and 12 minutes to be exact, to, welcome everybody home to the Team Osiris and Team Osiris Matrix. We always growing, we always building, and we always will. And we appreciate everyone and the respect from everyone. And we definitely do appreciate those that have seen us grow and evolve and become better people to ourselves and those around us. And with that being said, Brother Ngozi, to close out for us, man, much honor and respect to you.
Peace, power, and love to the family. Tune in, man. Team Osiris on the horizon. We got the YouTube channel. We on Facebook. I'm Justice Amir on Facebook. We got my brother Constance, my brother Tristan, my brother Joshua, my brother Malik Kamara. My brother Hero. My brother, all of us is just doing our thing. There's so many of us. My brother Maurice. All of us collectively is just doing what we're doing. We thank all the people that supporting us, keeping us going. It's one mind, one soul, one body, and we're going to keep pumping, yo. Team Osiris on the rise, and peace and love to the audience. And thank you all for listening to the show. Peace, power, and love.
Peace, power, and love, y'all. Talk to y'all soon. We out.